down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair club system places, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Really appreciate you guys holding on and waiting for us to deal with the usual technical issues that we have. Sadly, Joe can now, he could see me on the feed, but he can't actually see me as we're communicating directly. And that's just the nature of this fucking beast. But welcome to the show. Yeah, hey.
It is a crazy, crazy nature, I got to tell you. Before I got involved with this program and, got further involved with this kind of technology, I had no idea what was involved. So knowing the limited amount that I know, and when I look at that, there's like that video I did with Kyle Christie 2 weeks ago, where I'm getting comments in the comment section about how the audio sucks. I know it sucks. And then I look at it and I see how I got this jerky video going on. Yeah, it's not the best video, but it is so difficult working with Skype. And to imagine what you're going through on your end to do all this live, and sometimes from multiple locations besides just you and me, it's amazing where we got the consistency that we have as it is.
I'm glad you finally fucking realized it, dude. It only took you, 10 years to see what goes into this.
Yeah.
Look, the reality is I love doing it. I really have a great time producing the program. I'm a one-man band doing this, but you're talking about working with 17 different pieces of equipment that all have the ability to fail. And there is not a day where one piece of the equipment doesn't fail, or one issue doesn't happen. Last night, I was here late, didn't go back to the other place, stumbled into the studio. My HDMI cord was plugged into the camera. Didn't realize it.
And you tripped on it.
Well, I didn't actually trip. I knocked into it. My foot got caught, and the entire apparatus, the camera, the tripod, and of course, the very fragile small HDMI to large HDMI cable busted. So what did I have to do? I had to go into my camera with a set of tweezers to remove
and pull it out,
the HDMI piece, and hope to God that I can get it to work for today, which I did. However, something else shifted where you cannot see me on your end through Skype. Don't know what that is. I did get up and see that my Skype machine essentially restarted on its own. And again, I think Skype was updated. It's a whole fucking thing. Anyway,
Good
not
times.
to complain. Enjoy doing what I'm doing. But I'll give you another example. And guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. I was interviewed today, excuse me, by a really lovely woman. And I want to put that out there before I continue with this conversation. This is a very lovely woman. She is very passionate about what she does. She has been asking me through Facebook for an interview for quite a long time. I have not had the time to make it happen. And at one point, I almost blew her off accidentally, and I apologize for that. And she's a youngish person, probably about 20 years younger than me, I would say. And she is in the non-surgical side of hair restoration. She is in the trichology side. Now, as most of you know, for many years, I would say that trichology is a science of bullshit. I have since evolved my my stance on trichology, since now trichologists who are well trained can actually help hair loss sufferers if they utilize the right protocol. What does that mean? Platelet-rich plasma therapy, low-level laser light therapy in some cases, minoxidil tinctures, different minoxidil preparations, stuff that actually works. So many times trichologists are the first line of attack, especially in Europe, for those who are dealing with hair loss sufferers. So, you know, I'm very open to speaking with them and essentially getting things to a point where trichologists are actually going to be credentialed if they want to operate in this field. So, talking to this woman, again, very lovely. She interviews me through a different piece of software, and she is essentially telling me how, you know, amazing I am, and, you know, what was it like back in the day and stuff like that, and what was it like I was in the fucking war, you know? I felt like I was an old wrestler signing headshots at a Knights of Columbus somewhere in Queens, you know?
Or AMVETS.
Yeah, you froze, by the way, dude.
What's that?
Your video froze.
Yeah, I have frozen. I want to interrupt your story there. And it's Skype, not my camera. So I might need to sign off.
All right, that means I have to sign into the other computer. But anyway, I want to make it clear that this particular person, she was lovely. It was a very, I think, interesting interview. She did a great job, and I really appreciate the praise and the fact that, yes, I am old school. I've been doing this for a long time. Why are my levels low on my board? I don't get it, man. I got to speak directly into this microphone. But it definitely made me think, like, holy shit, how long am I going to do this for? How much longer is this going to be? Hold on, let me see if I can get back. Did you disconnect with me, Joe?
Nope. Can you hear me?
I'm going to disconnect with you now. I'm going to call you back. Oh, that's just your audio. Let's get some video going. All right, guys, hold on. Phone number is 888-659-3727. We'll take your calls. And, again, I'm not complaining as far as... You're going to have to call me, Joe. I'm not complaining as far as the fact that apparently, you know, this is a younger person who's in the industry, sees me as someone who's been around for a long time. I've done a lot of work. I've been out there, my face, you know, face forward for many, many years. But it's fascinating to kind of, you know, get people's perception of who you are, what you do, how long you've been in the field, like I'm some sort of a grandpa. And I had to kind of laugh about it. But that was my day today. Let's see if we can get Joe back on here. Yep. I see your camera really working hard, dude, but I can't see you. Can you hear me? Oh, man. Not good. All right, Joe, try to call me back. In the interim, I will take some phone calls. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we are here to take your calls, and Joe Tillman will be back once he gets those technical difficulties squared away. I'm pretty sure it's on his side, but we will see. Again, the phone number, 888-659-3727. This is the Hair Loss Show. We are here to answer your questions about anything and everything hair loss. I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association, the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. Also happen to be the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Been doing this broadcast for a little more than 20 years, which is I have to raise my volume, which seems like a pretty long time. And it is a long time. I'm reading the chat. Sorry, guys. But I think I got a lot of life in me. Sadly, this industry is not, it's worse than it's ever been. I'm writing an article for a journal that is essentially the medical journal for the field. And I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be published, because it's not completely politically correct, but I am providing them with the truth that they need to hear about what is happening in their own field. And sadly, what's happening is that the vast majority of hair transplant surgery that is being performed today completely sucks. Things have changed to the point where we are devolving, and the field is devolving, and more people are in danger than ever before. And it's pretty frightening, actually. I am not exactly sure. Well, I think I know how to. I got to connect again to this guy. I think I know how to change the trajectory and correct course. But the bottom line is it's the physicians who are performing surgery that are going to have to agree to make that happen. Otherwise, you guys are going to be in harm's way. And to be honest with you, there may be a time when I basically say, besides surgery as a last resort, where I say, don't have surgery at all, because that's a possibility. I don't know. There he is. Let's see if we can make this happen. All right. Joe's back.
I hear you.
I see you. You are back. Anyway, let's take a phone call. I was just ranting. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys, it's Mordy from Brooklyn.
Mordy from Brooklyn. How are you, man?
Mordy.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just needed to kickstart the broadcast. Nobody was calling in.
Dude, it's unbelievable. I'm ready to just give up.
No, don't do that, man. We love you. You can't give up.
No, I won't give up. I won't give up.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I went ahead today and I paid a visit to Dr. Wesley today because I'm getting ready to leave. I don't know if I mentioned this maybe a couple months ago that I had bought some topical stuff from him, so I went to get a refill. Joe, I sent you.
You did mention it. Joe's video just dropped again. So.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, anyway, I sent Joe some pics of what my scalp was looking like over the last week or two. And I have to say, and again, you guys can razz me all you want about, mixing too many things at once. Good things are happening on my head, at least from where I'm sitting. So I got no complaints.
I'm not going to razz you. Our whole thing is, look, don't throw the kitchen sink at it. You want to be able to know exactly what's working for you. But if you are putting everything on your scalp and you're seeing results, then go with it, man.
That's exactly what I'm doing. And if nothing else, it's making me delay, the knife. So I'm happy.
Well, and that's the point. If you can delay getting cut for as long as possible, then you win.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's kind of what I feel as well.
And that's the thing. Listen, I came out pretty strong today. I'm getting a little more discouraged about the direction that the industry is going in. Some, weird shit happened today. I'm not even going to talk about it, but it's just like, Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. You guys physicians out there have the opportunity to really take charge and change this field and really go in the direction that could really change the lives of countless men and women. But you know what a lot of these guys are designed to do? Just go along to get along. Buy fucked up devices, get involved with different, bullshit marketing companies and pay money to be on different websites where they're essentially diluting their expertise. And really what's happening now is the industry is more commoditized than it's ever been before. And the number one question about surgical hair restoration that comes through the American Hair Loss Association right now is cost. How much does it cost? Now, when that happens, we are in fucking trouble. Joe, so what's up? Are we going to try to get your picture back or what?
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, your audio is in and out. I can't. It's like that problem we were having a few weeks ago.
Jesus.
Cool. Well, I do have one other question just to kind of lighten the mood. So I got a few different women in my life, and some of them say, when I talked about exploring the whole surgery thing, some of them were like 100% behind it, and some of them were like, you're beautiful, you're fine, you don't need to do anything. So who do I believe?
You believe how you feel. And Joe, that audio should be fixed right now. Tell me if it is.
Seems like it's a little bit better.
Okay. There are people out there who are not going to think you look good. That's the way that it is. They like guys with hair. They think you would look better with hair. And there are women who actually are genuine. And they're not just trying to spare your feelings. But the fact that you're saying that you have plenty of women, a few women in your life, I mean, you essentially sound like you have a bullpen.
Well, they're women friends, and I've had various levels of emotional attachment with them, No,
I don't know what that means. I have no women friends.
Really?
I do not believe that you could be friends with women.
Okay.
That's such a when Harry met Sally statement.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't attracted to them,
Well, to me, there is no reason to have a female friend.
You're fucking kidding me, bro.
I'm not kidding you. Unless I'm having sex with them, there's no reason for me to know them, unless it has to do with making money or business.
Female mind, try to understand how women think. I mean, that doesn't.
I know how women think. This is how women think. I am their finish line. That's how they think. That's it.
Oh fuck. Okay.
That's the bottom line. They want to get with you. They want to, somehow, control your being. Most women want to have children. And once you sign on that dotted line, they've crossed the fucking finish line. And I'm not even bitter. I have a good life. But, I'm 53 years old. I've had a lot of experiences in my life. I see a lot of my friends who have been through incredibly fucked up divorces, who deal with, child support and, just dealing with insane ex-wives and just the stuff that they deal with. It's like, I know what it's about. And I'm not saying that and there's Joe. I'm not saying that I know everything, but I have my opinions, and this has nothing to do with women. I love women. I am not a misogynist. I believe in, I'm probably more of a feminist than a lot of women are. I open a door for I used to open doors for women, but now it's like I open a door for a woman, they get pissed off. I could do that myself. Okay, well you can pay the fucking bills too.
I hear you, bro.
So anyway, I know a lot of guys like you, and that's fine. That's great. You sound like a very sweet man. You have a lot of nice female friends. Let me ask you a question. When you go out with your female friends, who pays the bills?
That depends, but yeah, I would say that I probably kick in more often than they kick in, and I don't refer to money.
Now, why is that? Why is that? Why you guys are friends? But you're friends. Like if I were to go out with Joe, not that we're actually friends, but if we were friends, if I were to go out with Joe, and we were say to go out once a week, I'm pretty sure we would, you know, he'd pick up one, I pick up one, great. And eventually it'd be like, you know what? Let's just both put down our credit cards and we'll split the bill.
Oh, yeah.
Now, why wouldn't your female friend do that? I don't understand that. How are they friends? How are they equal?
Sometimes they do, man. Sometimes they do, you know?
Sometimes.
I don't know what to say.
Sometimes they do. What is the what percentage of the time do they pay compared to you?
Well,
what? Okay, so I've been busy dealing with this BS camera issue. Bring me back into this conversation. You're talking about being a feminist and talking about when one should and should not pay for the bill.
Dinner.
Mordy is basically saying that he has a lot of friends who happen to be women.
I have a number of women friends. I have like 3 or 4 of them that it's top of my head, and you know, some of them I've been involved with emotionally and you know and sexually. Some of them, are just women that I know. You know, I don't when I stop sleeping with women. Well, that's another question whether I do or don't. But I like to have different women in my life. And the question came about, just so that you know, Joe, as I asked the question, I said, some of my women friends are all about, when I had talked about originally doing this, I talked to some women. I said, hey, what do you think? Do you think it's a good move? And some of them are female friends of mine that are not real friends, they're relatives and stuff, like my aunt. She's like, oh, yeah, you should definitely do it. And then my cousin's like, no, you don't want to do that. And then, the next girlfriend's like, oh, yeah, you should do that. And another one's like, no, you're fine the way you are. And I was just like, again, which isn't to say that I'm going to make a decision based on what somebody told me. But, because we're all men in this room and, we've all had...
Well, I thought we were. I'm just, Mordy, I'm just fucking with you, man. I'm just kidding.
I said, let me ask the expert over here, what he thinks. Which one of these women is telling the truth? And that's where the conversation starts.
I think the answer could be they're all telling you the truth, or they're all lying to you. That's the reality.
I look at it like this, it's like you have to say, all right, you need to be honest with me. Mm-hmm. And, what do you think of okay, with or without hair? What do you think? Like, if you knew me from no one else and you saw me on the street and I came up to you and we're in a bar situation, whatever, how would you react to me with or without hair? Better. Mm-hmm. Like, how would you receive me better, with or without hair?
I think what you really need to do is you need to get some sort of a mock-up of you with hair and you without, and then a picture of you without hair, the exact same shot, and ask what they like better.
Yeah.
Then you'll get a real answer.
That's true. Anyway, I just brought it up because it was something different to talk about.
No, and it's interesting. And here's the thing: you are ahead of the game. You seem like you're a happy guy.
I try.
You have a great attitude. You're not jumping into surgery, which you do not need for the most part if you're dealing with hair loss. Dealing with shaving your head or keeping it close cut for so long. Mm-hmm. You're doing okay on meds. You are, you have plenty of friends who happen to be women. Mm-hmm. I don't even know why I can't even say that. There's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with me, probably. But
you're very entertaining, Spencer. So it's all good.
Well, no, and I appreciate that. And listen, but honestly, that's honestly the way that I feel. I really believe that sadly, I see a lot of guys who have friends who are women, and I watch them open up their fucking wallet, take out the credit card, and the woman just sits there. And it's like, are you really my friend? I don't mind spending money on somebody. I don't mind spending money on my friends. But when it's a constant thing and women expect it, even if you're not fucking them, it's bad enough we have to pay when we're fucking them. Sorry. Joe, am I being too harsh?
No, I don't think you are at all. And I think it. Look, I'm the kind of guy where, I open doors. I'm like a southern raised, gentleman.
By the way, I'm going to give a side by side. All we have is a picture of Joe today
What's that?
Oh, no.
I'm putting it side by side because all we have is your picture. Your video's gone.
Oh,
my
man.
video on my settings just came back up because I've been fucking around on this end. This is a pain in the ass. I fucking hate Skype. But yeah, it's like, you know, if you're in a situation where you've got female friends, it's like I'm the kind of guy. It's like, first off, I don't like Spencer said, I really don't have female friends. It's like I don't go hang out with female friends. You know, part of it's because I'm married, but you know, it's like I really don't do that. It's like, but if I am out in a situation, the few times where I am in a like at a friendly lunch or something, yeah, I'll pick up the bill, just because that's what a gentleman does. And it doesn't have to mean I'm getting in her pants or trying to get in her pants or anything like that. That's just the way I am. And if it's a professional situation where, like, I've been in situations where someone's like, yeah, I want to take you to lunch to talk about a business proposal. Fuck, she's paying for it.
Yeah, see, I'm actually the opposite. When someone, man or woman, wants to take me for lunch in business, I pay for it. Because I don't want to be beholden to anybody when it comes to business. So a lot of these guys, these companies will take you out and they want to expense it. I'm like, I don't want to be on that expense account. I don't want anything written down that you fucking had lunch, dinner, or breakfast with me to talk about being involved with your company. That's just a weird thing that I have. Now, listen, I have a doctor on the line who actually wants to chime in. Let me see if I could not hang up on you and keep you potted up. There you are. And let's see. Hey, Doc.
Yes.
How are you, man?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Hey, guys, Dr. Glenn Charles calling from Boca Raton. You're in Boca.
Dr. Charles, how are you?
How's everything, man?
Hey, Dr. Charles. How you doing?
Good.
Interesting.
Good.
You went ahead and you got a Florida doctor on the line, knowing that I'm moving to Florida. That's very interesting.
I didn't plan it.
No, I've been actually meaning to call in the last 2 weeks, and I had two things that happened on two Tuesday nights in a row where I wasn't able to call in. But I told Spencer I was going to try and call in regularly and just kind of listen and answer questions for people because I enjoy doing it.
Well, I'm
number
glad.
one question: do you pay for the women at dinner, or do they pay for you, or what?
Well, I'm divorced, so I'm a single guy now, and usually when I'm like a girl, it's more of a date, and I would always pay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're dating, I understand that it's our job, unfortunately, and that's just the way that it is. And I understand being a gentleman, and I agree with that aspect of things, but I am just not the guy to have female friends. And I'm in a position where all of my exes still want to be my friend. And
you pay for everything.
Well,
I think the important thing if you're going out with some girls that you're not planning on being intimate with, or just in a friendly situation, you at least want to see that they offer.
Right.
That they make an effort to contribute to the bill. They're not just expecting you to just, sit there and they'll say, often the guys will all say, oh, no, don't worry about it, we got it. But at least you know that person's a mensch and they did the right thing they offered because it's just a friendly thing and they should pay like any other friend.
I agree with that, but that's also one of the things I look at. It's like, if you're in a situation where that becomes commonplace, where you're always the one picking up the bill, then the opportunities to pick up the bill become less and less. It's like you consciously make the decision, okay, I'm not going to lunch with this person because you start to get an idea of what it is they're looking for with that lunch, a free meal or actually to hang out.
I mean, that's the thing, Joe. I mean, if you're going to pay, they're going to expect it because they figure that's just how it goes. I mean, so it takes two to tango, I would say.
Well, yeah, but you learn to balance it, right? And the ones that are smart and that you want to keep around because they're smart people, and it's good to have smart people in your life, they'll pick up on it.
But Dr. Charles, I didn't know. I didn't realize that you were single at this point, and I'll give you some advice and take it for what it's worth. Don't go out to if you're going on a first date, meet for drinks. That's it. Or say, listen, I'm having dinner. Let's meet after dinner for drinks. Pay for one or two drinks and see where that gets you.
So you want to know what's even better down here in Florida? You just say, let's just this way. Let's just meet and we'll go for a bite on the beach during the day for lunch and go to the beach. That way you can see him in a bathing suit right off the bat, and you know whether or not you want a second date.
I like that.
Smart man.
I like that. So
hang with you, Dr. Charles, once I move down there.
Yeah, no, we're down in South Florida. We're having a good time.
That's great. That's great. Mordy, do you have any questions while we have an actual doctor on the line besides just me and Joe, who are not doctors? We just play doctors on the radio.
Well, I mean, first of all, you guys are fantastic, and you've been a fountain of knowledge for every single call I've made. Plus, you're fun to watch. That's why I'm calling you. Obviously, you're my two favorite guys on the internet. What else is new?
Thank you.
But Dr. Charles, I'm guessing you're an IHRS member. I hope.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes,
well,
I
good.
am.
So I've been talking to these guys now probably for about 7 or 8 months. I told this story. Make a long story short, I was using some retinol cream on my face, and I found that a few hairs started sprouting out my head, and then I don't know. I just decided to jump whole hog into medicinal into the medicinal journey. Right now, I'm on a topical dutasteride solution that I got from Dr. Wesley, whom I investigated as a possible surgeon for doing hair restoration. Plus, I'm also doing a finasteride pill.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, things have changed. I'm moving to South Florida, and I'm putting any surgery on hold until after I settle the other aspects of my life down there, and then I'll see where I am at that point. In the meantime, I've noticed good growth. I actually sent Joe some pictures about 40 minutes ago of what the dutasteride or whatever the heck my regimen is doing, and I'm pretty pleased with it.
How long you been on that regimen?
Gosh, I'm trying to think now. I started taking finasteride. I want to say probably I would say March or April, thereabouts.
Okay. Only feel like 4 or 5 months. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been doing minoxidil since probably the end of last year, and then this topical dude, I started that. I would say probably in May.
And you think you're seeing some positive results already?
I know. I don't think I'm seeing. I know I'm seeing because I've been taking pictures and just doing comparisons. And there's stuff going on up there, and I'm very pleased with it. I mean, it's.
I can say without question. I'm looking at the photos that Mordy sent to me right before the show, right when the show started, and the last photo shows more. It doesn't show the same picture that the previous ones were as far as the angle and distance, but I can see that there is there's a marked improvement in the mid scalp region and into the crown. Just these past
if you don't mind asking, how old of a guy are you?
I'm 49. Just turned in July.
Wait a second. You're 49?
Yep.
You're like the third oldest caller we have. Dude, I'm just
okay.
Marty, I'm just kidding, man. Come on, I'm 53 years old.
You're so full of it because you had that one guy who had that incredible job. He had all white hair. There's a picture of him on a train, and it was 5 months growth in.
Dude, our demographic is 18 to death. When I was on the radio and when I first tried to sell the show to a program director, they couldn't understand what the demo was. I'm like, it's almost all of humankind. That's how big the demographic is. So yeah, we get 75-year-old guys who call on the show. So,
I believe it.
Anyway, just giving you some shit, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. So any other questions, Dr. Charles?
No. I just, I think that if you think you're getting some results, I think you should, obviously continue what you're doing as long as it's not having any negative effects. And some of these things, these non-surgical options, really have a benefit for some people, and then another person can have a similar type of hair loss through the same regimen, and they get nothing. So it's really kind of hit or miss. But if I'm all for a home remedy or any kind of concoction or combination of treatments if it works for you.
No, this isn't home remedy. All this is science and technology.
No, I'm just saying. But even if someone has some home remedy that helps their back pain, you're like, hey, it's working for you. Keep doing it. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I think that if at some point you kind of feel like you've been using it for a little while and you've kind of now your benefits kind of leveling off, and it's not improving anymore. And then at that point, if you wanted to do something, then you could do something. But there's no rush. There's no rush. If you feel comfortable with the way you are, then don't do anything.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I want to see where this goes, because things are still getting better. I haven't plateaued. Things are continuing to get better. So I'm like, fuck it, let's see where this goes. If nothing else, what it'll do is it'll make the time when I eventually do decide to get under the knife, it'll mean I need fewer grafts, and I will have more coverage with less effort on your part, for example.
That and the other hair will be more stable. Your existing hair will hopefully be more stable, and maybe you won't get as much shock. Those are all the potential benefits of being on medicinal therapy prior to doing surgery. Those are the potential benefits. But as far as I think I caught a tip of the beginning of the conversation when, you sound like a really intelligent, nice guy, good attitude, it was the question that you asked was a girl. You asked if you had hair versus not hair, would she be inclined to be attracted to you or talk to you or something at a bar or something like that? And I truly think I have some very good friends of mine that are really cool guys, and one guy has significant hair loss. He's probably like a stage 6 or 7, so he just shaves his head bald. He's only in his mid-40s, and this guy, he has such a good attitude, and he's so confident in himself that I think that even a woman that might not normally think she'd be attracted to someone that was bald or shaved their head, I think that that your personality can make up for a lot of things, and hair is not the only thing that's important. To some people, it is.
That's absolutely true.
That's why That's why I do what I do. It's for people who really just feel like they would have more confidence or more self-esteem or whatever it is. They just think they look better with with hair. And then some guys actually cannot really get away with the bald thing because of the shape of their head. So that's another whole story. But I think it's really in your state of being and in your attitude that really makes you who you are.
Yeah. I grew up in the 80s, and I was a musician at that point, and I was in a band. And when I started losing my hair, it was just a freaking tragedy. I still play music. Actually, I'm going to Florida and getting in touch with an old guitarist friend of mine, so we're going to see what we do. One thing, Joe, I wanted to ask you a question, since you have the photos in front of you, and you're actually seeing the results of what's happening in the mid-scalp. Do you think, and again, maybe I'm getting too premature with this, do you think that the mid-scalp in its current state would benefit from something like really good PRP as opposed to really bad PRP?
And, by the way, if Joe was actually able to show his camera, we'd be able to see your images right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And Spencer, I'm rebooting my my Windows machine just to see if we can switch back over to that. But at this point, okay, let's say we throw the kitchen sink at it right now, and you're just a few months into your topical routine. Will you see a benefit from the PRP? I have no idea. Only because I don't know. Well, like we've been saying, it's like if you were to try it now anyway, you could have the greatest result possible, but you won't know because you're still early in your finasteride use or your topical finasteride use. So while you could get a great result from it, I don't know if you'd notice it because you wouldn't be able to differentiate what it's actually from. So
yeah, you're such a scientist, Joe.
Well, I think it's just it's just repeating the theme of what we've been telling you.
I know.
Don't throw the kitchen sink at it. Just one thing at a time. You've been taking the topical for how long now?
I guess it'd be May, so June, July, August. So 3 months.
Okay, so I'd say give it another at least 7 months before you decide to undertake anything else.
Before I do anything else. Okay, that's fair.
Listen, Mordy, we're going to let you go. I'm glad that you seem to be an early responder and a great responder to meds, which is terrific. I'd love to see where it takes you. If it could help you avoid surgery, that would be great. But like Dr. Charles said, and like we always say, the key is even if you're going to move forward with surgery, being on meds can really be a not just an adjunct, but really make a tremendous difference in the success and the final result of surgery. And people don't get that. They're like, you know what? I'm having surgery. I don't need to be on Propecia, or I'm not going to take any medication. That is really not, in my view, and I'm not a physician, your best option. If you can't tolerate these drugs, then for sure. But if you're going to invest the time, the emotional investment, and the money into having hair transplant surgery, you want to do everything possible to ensure that you have the best possible result. And that includes making sure, doing the best you can to maintain that precious donor area that's going to be moved, because in time it's possible that can miniaturize as well. And that's why Joe Tillman is still taking finasteride, even though he's like a Norwood 12. So
Norwood 10, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Don't push it.
All right, guys. Well, it's
all right,
a pleasure
Morty.
talking to you guys as always. Dr. Charles, it's great to meet you. Even if you don't cut my head, I would love to have a drink with you. Maybe we could scope out some women together down in South Florida.
Hey, no problem. Do you know where in South Florida you're moving? Do you know what city?
Yeah, Weston.
Oh, I'm in like Coral Springs Parkland. I'm very close to that.
I'm sure.
I'm probably 15 minutes from there. So, and then the office is only maybe 30 minutes from
Dr.
there.
Charles, listen, I know you're being nice, but you do not want to do this. You don't want to meet some crazy guy on a radio show.
Oh, no. I'm just saying come by the office. If you want me to come track your hair.
I'll even pay for dinner. How about that?
Yeah. Make it professional. Go by the office, get your head checked out.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
All right, fellas.
Get some photos, keep track of it.
Yeah. All right, Morty.
Take it easy,
Hey,
Morty.
Morty, take it easy, buddy. Good luck.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Spence, I'm logging off to switch over to another machine.
Okay. Guys, the phone number. Oh, I just hung up on Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles, call back. I apologize for that. 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. Joe Tillman is logging into another computer to see if we can get things going. Dr. Charles, I'm going to keep a line open for you if you want to call back. I apologize. Let me see if I can text the guy. I'm going to hang up a line. All right, guys, 888-659-3727. I think that this is Dr. Charles. Oh, he just hung up. What a day. Hey, sorry about that, Dr. Charles.
I think that this is Dr. Charles.
Hello?
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's not. Who's this? Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this? I can hear my voice. Guys, phone number 888-659-3727. This is a technical fucking nightmare tonight. So everyone is hanging out in the chat. Have fun with that. Our lines are open. Dr. Charles, feel free to call back. I'm leaving a line open, and I'm writing him right now.
What the God.
I can hear you, Joe. Unbelievable. Guys, this is the way that it is. We're doing live internet broadcasting. Shit happens all the time. You know what? There was a time in my life when I would allow stuff like this to stress me out. Not anymore. I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. You have any questions about your hair loss? You have surgery scheduled for tomorrow? Call in. We have a couple of open lines. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Jesus. All right. I don't see you on hold, Doc. So try to call back. You might be on hold on another number. So give us a call, 888-659-3727. Call back. Don't see you on hold. By the way, Dr. Charles has been essentially one of the founding members of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Been with us for many years, at least 17 or 18 years. Guy has a tremendous wealth of knowledge and someone who I have not only a fondness for, but a lot of respect for as a physician. Okay, so all our lines are lit. Let me see if this looks like it's line 3. If this is Dr. Charles. Hey, Dr. Charles, is that you?
Hello?
Yes, hi, who's this?
This is not Dr. Charles.
Okay, I could tell.
Oh my God, nobody's calling you guys. I just tried to call you guys and it went through. This is Patricio from St. Louis.
Thank you, Patricia. Hold on for 1 second, man. I'm going to see if I can put up Dr. Charles as well. Hey, is this Dr. Charles?
Yes.
Hey, Doc. Sorry about that. Okay, we have Patricio.
okay.
We have Patricio from St. Louis. We have Dr. Glenn Charles on the line. Patricio, what can I do for you, man?
Okay, so I called you guys before, and so I've been taking finasteride for like, I don't know, it's been 2 years or so. I'm like a Norwood 6, I think. And I've been already in contact with Dr. Shit, I forgot. From
By the way, whoever has their computer up, can you turn it down? If that's you,
I don't have
Patricia? Okay.
No, it's not me.
All right.
I'm at the gym.
All right, cool.
So it's with Dr. Arocha.
Okay, so what? So what? You had a hair transplant consultation with Dr. Rocha?
Yeah, I already had it like I don't know, like 8 months ago, and he just told me that he will suggest just having a 3,000 grafts.
Okay.
Moved, and just go for a FUE and just keep doing finasteride. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you again because, like, I think the day is getting closer. I guess I don't have like an actual question.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm going to let Dr. Charles chime in. You're on finasteride. What kind of results are you getting right now?
It slowed down the progression.
Okay. So as far as 3,000 grafts, did you mention what Norwood classification you might be?
Yes. Yeah, and I think, well, my crown is completely visible.
Say that again?
So my crown is visible. So I think I am Norwood 6.
Okay, so what about how's your hairline?
Yeah, it's been receding for years.
Okay, but around what, say, has it receded 1 inch, 2 inches? Do you still have a lot of hair in the hairline? Do you have a strong mid-anterior scalp? Is there a lot of hair up on the top of your head?
They're hungry. Look at that.
I would say it's been it's been receding for like 2 inches.
Okay, so if you were able to maintain what you have right now with finasteride, would you be happy?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, then that means that if you are an actual candidate for surgery, and obviously Dr. Rocha thinks you are, then surgery may be right for you. Dr. Charles, you might want to chime in on this.
I'm listening.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy actually is, he went in for a consultation with Dr. Rocha. He was recommended to have 3,000 grafts. He's been on finasteride for quite a while with good results.
Yeah.
It slowed the progression of his hair loss. And we're trying to figure out whether or not he should move forward with surgery.
I'm sorry, how old is this gentleman?
26.
26 or 46?
26.
26. Okay, man.
26. Yeah.
36.
26.
26. Okay, sorry about that. The connection is not great. I mean, if the hair loss bothers him, that's probably not going to go away. And the age alone, and certainly he's old enough to make a decision. I just think that if he's going to go forward with this, in light of the fact that he's so young and may have further hair loss, even though he is on finasteride, he should just make it a very conservative hairline and try and get some coverage on the top and stay conservative.
Okay, so he was recommended 3,000 grafts, and so where did Dr. Rocha suggest that the grafts would be placed? Did he draw a hairline? Did he give you any type of a plan?
He did. So basically, what he said was just to start up with 3,000 grafts for the front, and keep using with PRP also, and keep using finasteride, and let's see how it looks like 6 months to a year down the road. And after that, we'll see if I will qualify for a second surgery, for a second FUT.
Okay.
And that's also concerned with PRP.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. What is your time frame emotionally, mentally? What are you looking to do? Are you looking to get this quote unquote fixed as soon as possible, or are you in no rush?
That's a really good question. I've been doing my research for over a year, probably two years, and I've done a consultation with Dr. Wong. In Canada, I went to Canada. I've been in Atlanta with other doctors, now Dr. Arocha. So I think I'm reaching the point where I want to get it done. I just know what doctor or what doctors I need to talk to, who do I need to talk to, and I've been listening to you guys for some time too. So the last thing that I was gonna do, I was just gonna shave it off and just check it out how it looks like, and if I like it.
That's a good move, man.
It's a good move. I know it's a good move, and Joe advised me to do that too. But I know, like, of course, I won't know until I get that done. But I'm pretty sure that I'm not gonna feel comfortable with it, just because I've been used to hair my entire life.
Listen, I agree. Listen, I've been behind this mic for 20 years because hair loss made me uncomfortable in my own skin, and just the thought of the progression of my hair loss really screwed me up. That's why I do what I do. So I was not a person equipped to deal with hair loss, and especially back when I was losing my hair, shaving my head wasn't really an option. Would I change my mind today at my age, and also now that shaving your head is something that's reasonable and that's acceptable? Probably not. I would look like some guy from the future, man. It's just not my thing. I like having hair, and I am doing whatever I can to maintain it for as long as I can. So, but if you're willing to take that step and give it a shot, and it's not going to destroy you for the 6 or 7 months it takes to grow back to a decent length, then I think that's a good first step, because once you're cut, man, you're cut. That's it. There's no turning back, no matter what you have done, whether it's FUE or FUT. So I think that trying every option before surgery, that includes seeing if you're comfortable without hair, is always the best thing, because then when you go in for surgery, I think it's also better for the doctor, because at least you're fully informed, you know what you want, you've done your research, so you understand the entire scope and possible pitfalls of having surgery, and you also know that you don't like yourself without hair. So if something is not 100%, I mean, you're going to be better prepared to be a surgical candidate.
Yeah, that's right. And when you say once you're cut, like it's just because what you mean is like the scar will stay there forever, right?
Absolutely. Whatever scar you have, and Dr. Charles can chime in on this. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that you agree. I mean, it's Dr. Charles, once you have surgery, there's no turning back. You had surgery.
That is true. I mean, I like to try on young gentlemen like we're speaking to kind of be always having the worst case scenario in mind, that if he has significant hair loss, that what he did earlier in his life by having a surgery would still look acceptable. I mean, you can choose to keep chasing it, but you never know how far you're going to go and if you have enough donor to fix the whole thing, because we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball that can tell you what your worst point is going to be. That would be the critical thing for us on a long-term plan for every patient.
Yes. Correct.
Hey, Dr. Charles, you there?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay. No problem. So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, but what is acceptable and what's going to look good, and what, even if you decide to start with the conservative approach, that may be something that the patient, while as a clinician, as a physician, me as the person that I am, understanding what to look for and what a good standalone hair transplant should look like. There are plenty of guys out there who aren't going to be happy with that. So I always tell people, don't just look at the home runs. Look at the guys who've had one procedure and that have progressed significantly, who've had appropriate hairlines placed at a young age, and see if you would be if you would be happy with that in 10 years. If the worst case scenario happened, would you be happy with a really good one-pass hair transplant? And if the answer is no, then don't have one. But if the answer is, yeah, I would be, then that's the worst case scenario. Then at least you know that's what it is.
That's right. Yeah. And sometimes that's what I ask myself. Like when I see other guys older than me, way older, like probably twice my age, that has gotten all their hair back. So I ask myself, why, if it worked for them, why wouldn't it work for me if I'm doing my research, if I'm doing the exercises, to increase the elasticity, I think it's called. I'm doing those exercises with my hands. I am taking finasteride. I've been taking it for a few years. I am young. I wouldn't mind, like, if it takes 1 or 2 surgeries. I just don't understand why would it be the reason that it wouldn't work for me if it worked for so many other people.
Well,
that's the reason why
that's a good
I
question.
want to still go for a surgery.
Well, that's a good question, and most repair patients and most people who've been in a scenario where it didn't work for them ask that exact same question. Why did it work for everybody else, but it didn't work for me? That is always a possibility with any form of cosmetic surgery. The reason we do this program, the reason why doctors like Dr. Charles is not only accepted into the IHS for his skill set, but he's accepted because he believes in our message. Truth in advertising, surgery is always a last resort. Be completely prepared for the worst case scenario. It takes a very special type of physician to support that message, but it also makes sense to smart physicians because they want the best educated patient to walk through their doors. So they know that nothing is 100% guaranteed. The failure rate in a particular practice may be less than 1%, but it still can happen. So,
correct.
I actually think that failure rates are higher than 1%, but it also depends on what failure means. Failure to the clinic may mean, majority of the grafts didn't grow, whereas failure to the patient may mean it's not the hairline design I wanted, right? And I
agree with that.
It's a very generic term, but Patricio, do you mind if I talk about your case based on me meeting you in person? Because I don't want to.
Yeah.
You met him in person?
So we met once. He came to see Dr. Wong, and we actually met because he contacted me ahead of time back when I used to have.
Did you not think this was an important thing to bring up at the beginning of the conversation?
Well, I would have liked to, but I couldn't be heard because my microphone wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing, Patricio. You've been looking for the perfect result, because you've been, and I say this because we've had discussions and you've pointed to consultations that you've had, and you've pointed to results that are online. And I'll say to you now what I've said to you privately. You are not in a position to have one of these one and done massive procedures because you don't have the physical characteristics that will allow you to meet that kind of result or achieve that kind of result. And as I mentioned to you before privately, you need to focus away from big sessions and trying to get everything done in one shot to begin with, because when they don't work, they fuck up your life.
Do me a favor. While we have Dr. Charles on the line, Joe, why don't you give Dr. Charles a little insight about this particular patient, and maybe Dr. Charles can chime in.
Yeah, Dr. Charles. So Patricio, he presents as about, he's not quite a 6, but he's a 5 going to a 6, with good donor laxity and average to slightly below average donor density. And because of his genetic background, the hair is it's dark, it's fairly coarse, it's got a wave to it, so you have fewer multis than you would with, say, standard Caucasian fine hair. And I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm hearing some background noise. So, the situation with Patricio's, he's been looking at these results online from various clinics where, clinic X or clinic Y will move 5,000 grafts in one procedure, and he keeps focusing on those kinds of results where where all the characteristics are lining up for the perfect procedure.
Yeah. That's right, but I'm not just focusing on the 5,000-6,000, because I know we already talked about it, and that's out of the picture now.
But my point is, Patricio, you know that those numbers aren't a good idea for you, but and you've presented a situation I've run into before where you understand that the numbers aren't really a great idea, but you're still looking for something that may not be possible in one procedure. That's just my observation. That's my opinion based on speaking with you. So ultimately, I think that your expectations are they've come down, but I still think they're higher than what reality will give you.
I'm not looking for the mega sessions. I'm not looking for high numbers. I already know. I already understand that the 5,000, 6,000 is just far
You do
from
know
where
that there was a time not too long ago when 3,000 grafts was considered a mega session.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just referring to the 3,000 grafts that Dr. Roach has just that I think soon I will be going for that option. Not the 5,000, just the 3,000.
All right, now I don't know if Dr. Charles has anything to add now that he was kind of given some information about your case. Dr. Charles, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I try and listen to all the details as much as possible. And the fact that he was told that he has average to slightly below average density in the donor. To me, that right away, that kind of, and if he's as young as he is and already stage 5 or 6 and possibly my father, I think that immediately makes you probably not a candidate for FUE, first of all.
Yeah.
And as far as FUE is concerned, I don't think like one of those 5,000 or 6,000 graft cases is probably even possible with someone who has your type of density. First of all, I'm assuming without seeing, but I think somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 grafts might be feasible, and there is the truth in that, like, if you're going to go for a bigger session, usually the time to do it is your first surgery because you don't have any scar tissue. And as long as you stick with a conservative hairline, you're just going to get more coverage coming back toward the crown. I think the key is if you're going to go through with the surgery, no matter where you go, it has to be a conservative hairline, probably higher than you were thinking. or that you would have preferred. Because there's always the option to come back later and lower it. Not that you ever would, but there is that option. But once you go too low, you can't go back. And
yeah,
you just have to really stay conservative so that you can get more coverage with whatever number of grafts the doctor ends up doing, whatever you decide on, whether or not it's 2,000 or 25 or 3,000. And then just realize that you may not have that much more. I mean, you may only have 5,000 or 6,000 grafts altogether that are movable from the donor to the top. So you've got to use that really wisely and get as much coverage. You might have to realize that it's never going to be super thick. I'm going to have some coverage when I take photos. It's going to look like I have some hair, but I'm not putting that teenage hair back again. It's just not, unless some discovery comes in the next several years and they get hair multiplication. You can make more donor. That's another whole story. But I don't tell my patients to hold their breath on that because we've been talking about it for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I really
hey, Dr. Charles, do me a favor. If you can speak directly into the mouthpiece, because I'm having some trouble hearing. Okay.
I'm trying to speak right in the mouthpiece here.
Okay.
I just try and be really honest with patients, and I think if I get a feeling that they're, no matter what they're saying, that they're really thinking something that's not doable, I really try and push them away from the surgery for now, and let them think about it more. And if they decide to go through with it, I always go whatever hairline they were thinking, I'm trying to go like at least a finger higher, and talk them into it, and tell them that they're gonna be happy in the long run because they're not going to overcommit. Because the lower you commit the hairline, the more the total area is that you might need to try and get coverage over at some point.
Well,
it might just be more than you.
I wish more doctors, and I'm not talking about IHRS members, because the IHRS members in South Florida have the same philosophy as you, but there are a few doctors in the South Florida area who seem to really be providing young guys with really aggressively low hairlines, and they're really screwing them up. And you're probably seeing these people walking through your doors.
I am seeing them, and I'm having to do like laser hair removal and some stuff to just. I tell them that don't put more grafts and make it stronger. You almost got to get rid of some of it, and it's just too low, and it's yeah, I'm seeing it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, and it for whatever reason down in your part of the part of the country, man. I'm seeing some of the worst work
everywhere. I think in the three major hubs, it's probably a little more common, like in L.A., New York, and Florida, because there's just so many more doctors doing it that there's going to be that small percentage of doctors that really probably aren't hair guys, or they're just trying to add hair into their practice to try and bring some more income into their practice, and they don't really know that much about it. And
well, but that's sadly, Dr. Charles, I'm going to be very frank here, and I hope take this in the spirit that's meant. But I think that a lot of the doctors, the guys who've been around for a long time, the really good, caring, real hair transplant surgeons like yourself, are kind of how do I put this? I'm not saying that that you guys are allowing this to happen, but I think a lot of the good guys out there don't think there's anything that can be done to stop it from happening.
That certainly might be true because, it's not an easy thing to stop. I'm not saying that there isn't anything that can be done, but it's certainly not an easy fix.
Well, I can tell you this. You are former president of the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgery. You are somebody who is definitely, well-connected, a higher up, someone who's been in the field for a long time. I've spoken to the ABHRS. I've spoken with the ISHRS. I have put out essentially blueprints for how things can be done and what needs to be done. And if these blueprints were followed, so many people would have been saved. And even more importantly to a lot of the doctors, they wouldn't be working in the current environment that they're working in, trying to compete against these turnkey device guys, these complete novices, these traveling technicians. That would have been all over. I just don't understand why, as a group, all of the good guys can't just get together and make that happen.
I wonder myself. You think that you got a bunch of fairly intelligent guys. We all sit down in a room. We might be able to come up with a a couple ways that we could, certainly minimize that from happening and try and deter that. And I don't know if it's through the state governments or what it is, but there's too many guys doing this surgery that just have no idea what they're doing.
It's bureaucracy wanting to deal with bureaucracy, and that's what I'm trying to tell the guys. And maybe now that you're on the program, I'm just going to be public about it, and you may be able to get some of these guys' ears. But I speak to guys like Ricardo Mejia, and it's almost like when I speak to Ricardo, I can't even believe what comes out of this guy's mouth. The level of, or the lack of understanding of how things could actually be handled and how you guys could really come out ahead of the game. Good doctors doing good work, caring about patients. It's like talking to someone. It's basically like I'm speaking a different language. I was asked to write an article for the Hair Transplant Forum International, and I'm writing that now. I don't know if they're going to publish it, to be honest with you, because I'm being brutally honest about the reality of what's happening to your field. Now, as a reader of that forum, of that journal, and as someone who cares like yourself, I'm sure you would love to read what I'm going to write, because it's going to provide you with a really important perspective. But I don't know if the bureaucracy of the ISHRS is going to allow that to happen, because it's almost as though they want to keep you in the dark, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is. And I know that it's difficult. It's a difficult thing for you to comment on. But my goal really is I want the good doctors to thrive, and I want the patients to see the good doctors. That's it. And that should be a collective goal of everyone who cares about the field.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think a lot of the doctors are scared to make waves, and they have busy lives, and it takes a lot of effort to try and go through all this bureaucracy. But I think if we could band together, it would certainly make things easier. But unfortunately, it's like since the ABHRS, it's not officially recognized by the American Board of Medical Specialties. I'm
sorry. Could you repeat that, please? What was that?
Okay, because the ABHRS, the American Board of Hair Restoration and Surgery, our board certification isn't officially recognized yet by the American Board of Medical Specialties.
Got it.
It's not an officially recognized board yet, and we're still working toward that. I don't know if we're ever going to get it, but it took a long time for cosmetic surgery to get it. It's a different field. It takes time to be recognized, and because of that, the governments might not listen to us as much because we're not officially recognized, and they basically said that you just have to be a licensed physician to do the surgery.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but I actually have spoken with the ABHRS, and I'm actually, as a layman, could be in a position to have the ABMS really take a serious look at true board certification in hair transplant surgery. And
that would change everything.
But even telling you guys, not you, but even telling these other guys that, they were just like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to take another meeting, to take another meeting, to take another meeting before we are able to figure out what time we could have a conference call. Finally, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. What am I going to do, Dr. Charles? I'm trying my best. And you know what? Who's suffering? Not only the physicians not only are the patients suffering, but sadly, physicians are finding it more difficult to compete than ever before. You guys now have to compete against complete novices. You guys have to spend money in places and basically subject yourselves to being put in the same category on places like Real Self as other doctors who've never performed surgery they've been in hair transplants for 6 months, but they have 5 stars.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I totally agree. It's frustrating. I can't tell you how frustrating it is.
And
when I hear about a doctor who I've known, he's an ophthalmologist. I've known him for 20 years. And I got a kneel graft.
And I could,
me?
but here's
Really?
the thing, I could change that. And I speak to guys like Ricardo Mejia is like, well, if you could change that, why don't you? The reason I don't is because people like you, Ricardo, when someone asks why you're not an IHRS member or why you're not part of what we do, you undermine my authority by saying what Spencer Kobren says doesn't really matter. And that happens throughout the entire field. So how can I get that message out there, change the field for everybody when no one has enough sense to say, this is important, let's all join together? Let's make this happen. You know, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, I'm sorry I went on a rant, but I just know that we can change the trajectory of this field and help patients like Patricia, who's on the line right now, and all of you guys who are out there really doing good work. You shouldn't be competing against I'm in Beverly Hills right now. I have guys literally down the block who just picked up a machine, and they put up a website last week claiming to be pioneers in hair transplant surgery. All right, that is the name of the game. That is what is happening. So, Joe,
we got a guy here at Fort Lauderdale too who just came from like family practice, and all of a sudden he's like, world-renowned pioneer, using all kind of terminology, and actually he recently joined the ISHRS, and I don't think he realized that there's certain things you can't say. He was saying like non-surgery, no scars, and all of his ads. He doesn't realize how much that hurts everybody else, because people see that and they think there must be something new, which is not true. And they're stealing. They're just lying to patients, taking business away from the guys who've been doing it a long time and do really nice work.
But listen, all I can tell you is, and this is not to chastise you on a personal level, because I understand that everyone, it's kind of like go along to get along. Try to work within the parameters of what's out there. If you guys really understood what can be done, if you really understood what could be done and how quickly we could turn this ship around, everyone would be calling me up and saying, let's make this happen now. Forget.
I have an idea, Spencer. Why don't we, since we're all coming to LA in October, right where you live, why don't we schedule like an hour meeting with everyone as part of your organization, and see if we can start this process?
I would love to do that. It's like herding cats. But yeah, I mean, Alan Ballin actually suggested the same thing. I was actually, and this is a funny story. And Patricia, I'm sorry, that's your name, right? I'll be with you in a second.
No problem.
Alan said, "Listen, let's give a talk. I think it's important that we give a talk together." He sent this incredible summary of what we were going to do at the ISHRS conference. Dr. Mohibi said he loved it, took it to the board, and the board just ripped it apart and wanted to turn it into a social media discussion, as opposed to exactly what you and I are discussing right now. What
I'm saying is having a meeting that, just at some other time, not during the actual meeting itself. We just meet as a group.
Yeah, no, we could do that, and I have a great facility here. That wouldn't be a problem. That could actually hold 60 or 70 people. Not a problem. We can figure something out. But my hope is that it's not just going to be a waste of our time. I know that you'd be into it. I know a few other guys would be into it, but it's going to take some legwork. But anyway, I think you're the second person to suggest that, so maybe we'll make that happen. Patricia and Joe, I'm sorry. Yep. I totally cut you off. I just wanted to finish that thought. Joe, so why don't you get back to what you're saying?
Well, I was just going to jump back with Patricio and remind him about his situation where, you're taking the right path now, where you are taking your time. You've been looking at this for quite a while. And I'm actually glad to hear that you've not pulled the trigger with Dr. Rocha or anyone. I mean, Dr. Rocha is obviously, he's a fantastic doctor, fantastic facilities, IAHRS accepted member, hair transplant mentor supported, blah, blah, blah. But, you need to get in the right headspace about what's going to happen, even if everything is perfect across the board for your particular characteristics, meaning, understand the high hairline that Dr. Charles was talking about. Understand what I spoke to you about before with smaller procedures, 2, maybe even 3 is more ideal, especially in a situation like yours, because while I agree with what Dr. Charles was saying about how the first procedure, that's the one where you want to go for the bigger grafts or the bigger number of grafts. I'm more of in a position where I think, in your case specifically, and I know Dr. Charles doesn't have the specifics. I think 2,500 to 3,000 is your sweet spot for doing the front, and see how you like it. You may decide that the back is not worth doing. You're happy with where you are now. A year from now, if you have the procedure today, and call it quits. But as it stands, move forward with your medication. Keep thinking about the reality with the higher hairline, the lack of 10,000 grafts at your disposal, and try shaving your head like we discussed before. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you'll hate it and it'll grow back.
And let me interrupt for one second. Dr. Charles, I don't know if you need to leave, if you wanted to hang out for a little while. If you need to go, we can, you can call back next week. It's up to you.
No, I'm going to hang out for a little while.
Okay, good.
I got another like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, good. I just didn't want to keep you. So listen, Patricia, that is good advice. But I also, I wasn't aware, and I guess now I remember when you called before, Joe said that you had gone to Hassan Wong and that you did actually meet, and Joe was able to meet you in person. So that's some good insight and kind of gives me a better understanding of your particular case. And I do think, the bottom line is surgery is always going to be there, man. It's always going to be there. So shave your head if that's something that you're considering doing. See how you look, and if you can live that way, then you won. And then if you can't, then surgery is going to be there for you.
That's right. Yeah.
If you have any thought that might be a possibility, you got to change. You got to try it. You got to see what it looks like. Some people say, you know what, actually looks pretty good. I actually kind of like it. My friends like it, and then some people say, absolutely not. This is not for me. This is the last time and that confirms you're moving forward with the transplant because you know what it would look like without any hair.
Correct.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
That's the next step.
I
will let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah, call us.
I shave my head.
Let us know. Send Joe a picture, and hopefully we can put it on screen. Love to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man.
No problem.
All right. Good luck.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Spencer.
Right.
Thank you, Joe.
Take care.
Thank
Take care,
you,
Patricia.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck,
Okay.
buddy.
You guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I don't want to hang up with the wrong person here. Okay. All right, guys. Phone number is 888-659-3727. We do have one line open if anybody wants to call in. On the line with Dr. Glenn Charles. And, guys, I'll take your call in a second. 888-659-3727. A few more minutes here to ask Dr. Charles any questions. Obviously, ask me and Joe any questions about hair loss. I want to apologize for anyone who came in and heard me ranting about the current state of the field. I guess, I've been doing this for so long, and I know what can be accomplished. And when I see the roadblocks that the very physicians who are complaining about all of the business that they're losing are putting in front of themselves, I'm just like, look, I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. I drew my first living wage check from my own company at the age of 19 years old. There's never been a year in my entire career, I'm 53 years old, where I lost money. Now, that's just basic, that's just basic information for anyone out there who is trying to figure out, where my life has been over the last, few decades. I started in business before the hair loss world. And all I can say is I've never met anybody in any business that has been, sadly, so kind of like misinformed and so connected to bureaucracy where they would allow their own businesses to be destroyed and essentially eaten up by device makers and complete novices. This wouldn't happen in another field, and it's just so difficult for me to fully understand. Anyway, let's take a phone call. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Nico from Manhattan. How you doing?
Hey, Nico, what's going on,
Nico.
dude?
Hey, you guys doing all right? Good?
Yeah. What's up?
Cool. No, it's interesting. Well, first of all, I just want to say, actually, the last show you guys had, I thought was one of the best shows I've heard. And I've been listening for a few years, but I I don't know, there was a case with patient had been seeing Dr. Haber, had some good success, had maybe 3 transplants. It was just such an interesting conversation. Just even when you get pretty deep into the journey, things might not always go how you expect them. And the patient was still, happy patient. So it's interesting. I mean, I think also Joe's been mentioning a lot recently about getting some better, I don't know the best way to put it, I guess, more upfront information from the, even just patient advocates and whatnot. I mean, interestingly, it's just like a lot of the shows been talking, and pretty much every show has always talked a lot about, like, well, see what it looks like trying to shave first before you get cut. I haven't been to a consult yet, and I know it's probably counterproductive potentially to the practice of the doctor, but I haven't been to a consult yet where when you're filling out those questions, the questionnaire is not one question about have you tried shaving, and also just having, a lot of the patient advocates are also tend to be like hair models, for probably what would be successful.
These aren't patient advocates. These are salespeople. These are people who are making money from the internet for their YouTube channels. There's a big difference. I mean, they may be educating people on hair loss and their personal hair transplant journeys, but to say that any of these guys are patient advocates, I think is a stretch. And this is not to insult anybody out there that is trying to educate people about their own personal experiences. But if they're educating people about their hair transplant and they're walking around with a laser helmet on, with a with a link on the bottom where they're making money from it. I mean, that's fine, but there's a big difference. What Joe does is, and he has the opportunity to really monetize his channel, and he chooses not to. And I'm not saying that he won't.
For now.
For now, I think he should. And listen, guys, you'll know when I sell out. I'll be sitting in this studio with Cy Sperling, hanging out, having a beer, and laughing about something. Again, yeah. But you're right, and I think that's interesting. I wonder how Dr. Charles feels about that. I mean, because that is, I've heard him say this before, to try to shave your head first. He agrees with our philosophy. He agrees with the idea of doing whatever you can before you have surgery, because he knows that makes a better patient in the end. If something goes wrong, the patient's, he's going to be more understanding of the situation. So, Dr. Charles, this caller, Nico, just said, he never saw in a questionnaire, have you ever tried to shave your head? When he said,
I mean, I'll usually get a feel from it during a consultation, even whether it's a Skype or a FaceTime or an in-person consultation, if the patient's considering that, and especially when we're talking about the difference between doing an FUT and an FUE, and the scar, if I ever want to shave my head. I mean, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think that if you get an FUE, you can just shave your head later. I said, you can. You can shave your head with an FUT also. One, you're going to have a line, the other going to have thousands of white dots.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just a different pattern of scar. It's not scar versus no scar. Totally, it's not true. But, I think this, it's a reasonable thing to, if someone's actually considering it, that but it's not an easy thing to do. If you've never shaved your head before, it's a big jump.
Oh my God!
I still think it's worth it. I still think it's worth it if you're even considering. Maybe if this just gets out of hand, I'll just shave it all. Then you can do it now or earlier in life, and just you'll know exactly what you're going to look like with no hair.
And I think it's very important that you just said that no matter what, you're going to be scarred. I have seen many guys who've shaved their head after having an FUT, and I have to say that while that scar is visible, if it's a good scar, to be honest, it doesn't really look that bad, and I know what it is, but most people just see it as like a white line in the back of someone's shaved head, especially if they don't have cobblestoning, they don't have obvious grafting where they're able to shave clean. In some cases, it's actually a better option than shaving after an FUE, in my view. And I think it can be less noticeable than
thousands of white dots.
Look, I have been directly behind at the Commons in Calabasas, Joe Rogan, and I've seen him several times. And, you know, I mean, the guy's got a scar on the back of his head, but he looks great. And it just nobody would know what it is unless they know what it is. But having 2,000 speckled scars on the back of your head, that would be, in my view, a lot more noticeable. Now, if you have a very widened, screwed up, you know, donor scar, then that option of shaving is really taken off the table for a lot of people. But
I think there's also the issue of, you know, there are more people today aware of hair transplant surgery to begin with than ever before, and it's because of FUE. And I think that an improperly performed FUE would be more noticeable for what it is to someone on the street than seeing a strip scar. A strip scar today, I think, it's more of a question mark to people than it ever has been. Except for when strip surgery first came on the scene, but it's such a rare procedure in the grand scheme of things today. When you look at FUE, that I think that's one of the things. Like, people just wouldn't really know what it is when they saw it, compared to, you know, seeing, like you're talking about, Dr. Charles, a lot of FUE scars all over the back of the head due to improper extraction technique.
Well, if we're the improper, maybe they were early ones that were a little bigger in diameter, like the ones or the 1.1 or whatever, or people who just don't heal well, or someone who's had multiple FUEs, and now the little white dots are connecting because there's nowhere to go that you haven't been before.
Now, and that's a very interesting point that you made there, Dr. Charles, because you've been doing this for a long time, so you have the infrastructure in your practice to do both FUE and FUT. You also have several tools for FUE. And your latest tool is the Smart Graft. And I know that you like the device, and there's a lot of guys out there that are gravitating towards these smaller footprint devices, like the Smart Graft. And I happen to particularly think, you know, for the type of device that it is, that it's a good piece of machinery, and that it really does add a lot of options, and it really gives, in my view, the ability for grafts to be kept more viable, even though there is suction, which is fine. But the fact that it's something, you know, the grafts are being sucked directly into a holding solution. That solution is being chilled. Grafts are being automatically separated. I definitely think it's a good device. But with that said,
high-grade suction. The suction almost has some fluid in it also, so it's never really getting dried out.
Well, there's no desiccation. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And you can put PRP in the solution. You have your options as far as what you want to put it in the holding solution. That's another benefit. It's very simple. I think about it. It's not super complicated, and therefore it doesn't break down very easily, and it's very mobile, meaning you can get to a lot of areas of the scalp that were at some other points difficult to get to. So you can spread out the FUEs over a bigger area, not hammer the same area over and over again.
Well, and I think that's one problem with some of the other automated devices out there.
Oh, there's no question. With the robotics, it can only get to a certain area, and if you do them again, you're going to go to the same area. And if you cut your hair too short, you can see where grafts have been taken from. You just see a volume deficit in that area.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, the fact you're saying that, I think, is very important for those who are, you know, considering. You know, here's the problem. A lot of people are now buying hair transplants based on the name of the device, as opposed to asking the surgeon, you know, what device they're using and why they're using that device. And it's really important that I think people have enough tools in their toolbox to work with different types of patients and to be able to, you know, to kind of like adjust on the fly. A lot of guys, especially the newer guys, are buying one piece of equipment and that's it. So it's essentially one size fits all cases.
And clearly in this field, one size does not fit all. That is one of the most basic things you're going to learn. the hair transplant guys that, I mean, the more options, the better. That's why I'm not even a big fan of clinics who only do either FUE or FUT, one or the other, because I just think that 90% of those doctors will not send that patient somewhere else, even though they know darn well they're not a candidate for the type of surgery they do, and they're a better candidate for the other surgery that they do not perform, and they still won't send them out the door.
Well, the sad part is, and Nico, we'll get back to you in a second. The sad part is that strip is going by way of the dodo. You are still, I mean, we're close in age. We're about, I think maybe I'm a year or two older than you. But, I mean, in this game, we're still relatively young, and you're in incredible shape. So you got a ways to go. But a lot of the strip guys, a lot of the people that have the infrastructure to perform good strip surgery, they're retiring, they're dying off, and these young guys are not learning how to do it. And it is really...
Yeah, I still think they should have the ability to do both. I mean, some people just really, they're just not even a candidate for FUE at all. I mean, it's so pointless to even get started with them. I mean, I guess if they're honest and they don't feel they're a good candidate for FUE, they could just say you're just not a candidate for surgery. That maybe they're doing that. But I certainly don't see them saying, oh, Dr. So-and-so down the street, he does FUT. You're probably a better candidate for that. You should go see the other doctor.
No, they're not saying that. I would love for that to happen. There's a couple of doctors that do. I know there's a guy by the name
I'm just saying it's just very rare. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just rare.
There's a guy by the name of Dan Daniel. I don't know if you know who he is in Atlanta. He's an IHS member, and he actually has referred patients, and doctors have told me, to have strips. And he's just, look, you're not an FUE candidate. All he offers is FUE. And he actually is probably the only guy that I've heard of that has referred several times.
It's almost unheard of. It's really honorable. It's a really honorable thing to do. I mean, for example, I have patients who come in who've been tapped out.
Yeah.
Too many surgeries, and they're asking about body hair transplants, and I've done it. It's not really my area of expertise, and I'll give them a name of a few people who I know that actually do a lot of body hair transplants. I think it's a last resort type of situation, but that's my opinion, and I think certainly if people want a consultation for that, they should see someone who does that regularly. So that is something that I would refer out.
No, 100%. And the thing is, it always comes back to you. That's what I try to tell these doctors. You're not losing this. You know what's going to happen? If you perform surgery, the wrong surgery on this guy, then you're going to have a headache for the rest of your life. And, a doctor in this day and age, in this connected world, who makes the wrong decision purposely can suffer consequences that they could never even imagined. One wrong move and your reputation is destroyed. So why even take a chance when you know that there's probably a high probability this patient's not going to be happy? That's what I don't understand about these doctors. That $10,000 bill doesn't mean anything when you have, 50 reports online about you because you have a really unhappy patient.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a short-term gratification for the few bucks. Really not worth the headache later. You're just a lot better off being honest with patients, even if they're not a candidate.
No.
I periodically tell patients, look, you're stage 8, and you have a tiny bit of donor. I could do maybe 1,000 grafts to you, and it would be like throwing a handful of rocks into the ocean.
Sure.
It's not going to do anything for you. I think you look fine the way you are. You look good. Just I talk them out of it.
So I kind of wish, I'm glad that you called in tonight, and I definitely think that, you should every once in a while call in more often, because I think it's important for, our listeners and our viewers to hear it from a doctor, not just hear it from us. We preach this all the time. But the fact
I know you guys do.
But the fact that you're out there and you're saying the same thing, and you're not just a guy who's saying, hey, this is what I have. I have a smart graft. I have this. You can come to my office. Why don't you give me a call? I'm selling this. I'm selling that. You're telling people the truth. And in the end, that's such a rarity in this industry.
It feels good. It feels good, too.
Well, I'm glad. Hey, Nico, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I was just going to say, I think ultimately it's definitely up to the patient to do as much research as possible, but I still think going in, it's nice to, while you're doing those questionnaires, to get more info about the things that could go wrong, as opposed to like some of those leading questions like, oh, what are you not happy with as far as your appearance, which seems more catering to trying to get a transplant, not just trying to sell surgery, because I know great doctors won't do that, but it seems like there should be more information about, like, have you tried shaving your head? Are you an anxious person?
So you're saying, Nico, that doctors should not ask so often, how does it feel like being a loser, being bald?
Just in so many words, yeah, right? It just put in such like leading questions that seem like, how can we get you in to get surgery to improve your appearance, which is great, but it's more about trying to educate the patient about like what could go wrong. So just quickly, I was going to say that I saw an online Google review about a great doctor, and Dr. Bernstein was amazing, and this mom brought her kid in to possibly get a transplant, and Dr. Bernstein suggested to not go through it because the kid had some serious anxiety, and he definitely saved the kid from potentially a miserable experience. And I thought that was brilliant, and the mom was all pissed off and left a Google review about it. And I'm like, you know what? The kid was saved by his honesty about saying,
sure,
hey, you know what? You're already anxious going in. This is definitely probably not the route for you. So just be like, great to get more.
I'll say this about Dr. B. I mean, he not only saved the kid, but I mean, I'll be perfectly frank about this. Any clinic that sees a mother walking in with her child to get a hair transplant should automatically
therapy first.
Show them the door to begin with.
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, no person should go in with their parents as an adult to talk about getting a hair transplant. That's just an automatic recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that negative review, even though it may bring a star rating down, anyone who reads that is going to be like, that was a smart move. This is a good doctor. So it actually benefits him.
And that's what I mean by trying to get more. And when I said about patient advocates, I actually meant real patient advocates, not the YouTube dudes. I mean, like, you have like a great guy like Peter Ackerman at Doran, who's a great guy, very informative.
I like Peter.
And he's had a lot of work done on him. So you go in and you see the work that's been done. And you're like, hey, that could be me. You might ask, oh, how many FUTs have you had? And you find out that he's had, more than just 3 FUTs. You might say, oh, man, he's also had like a total of 15 procedures with various FUEs, and that it's a bigger goal going down the line. So I don't know. It's just nice to educate the patient about what could go wrong going in to try to save them from being a crazy patient later down the line. Whatever.
Well, that's actually great advice for any doctors listening. And that's the thing. If you provide all the information needed, again, the entire scope, all the possible pitfalls, that will save a physician and the clinic a tremendous amount of headaches, time, effort. Just like, hey, look, either you're a candidate or you're not. Maybe you're a mediocre candidate. This is probably the best we can do for you. We might be able to do better, but this is the possibility of, the worst case scenario. If you are able to handle that, then we can move forward. If you can't handle that, if there's no way you could handle a possible failure in your eyes, then don't have surgery. And I will tell you this. I've always told doctors this. I've been doing this show for 20 years. It's almost impossible for me to talk somebody out of surgery, no matter how hard I try. So in the past, there have been some doctors who've called me up after they listened to my broadcast, like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to talk people out of surgery? And I tell them, I guarantee this guy's going in for surgery. And then you know what? 3 months later, I get a call, the guy went in for surgery.
Yep.
Right. And that's why I love last week's show. The guy was very happy with Dr. Haber, had 3 surgeries, but still wasn't able to totally achieve what he was hoping. You know what I mean? And you never know what's going to happen. So
that happens.
It's all about education. It's education. So
well, listen, man, I always appreciate the call, Nico. Best of luck, and thanks for the compliments and the kind words, and keep listening.
You guys are the best. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Thanks for calling, Nico.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Guys, we have time for another call if you want, and then we're gonna. It's almost time for the end of the show. Let Dr. Charles go as well. 888-659-3727.
Spencer, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you gonna go?
Spencer, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
I gotta go put my daughter to bed.
All right, man. Well, listen.
I'll call back next week.
I'll
call next week and I'll answer more questions.
It's been a pleasure. If you want to contact Dr. Charles for any reason, you can go to iahrs.org. You can see his profile, and of course, you can go to charlesmedical.com.
CharlesMedicalGroup.com or CharlesHair.com. They both lead to the same site.
Okay. All right, Dr. Charles, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you
guys,
soon.
don't take it easy. You guys are great. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care.
Okay. All right, let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
This is Curtis from Virginia.
Curtis from Virginia.
Hello,
Curtis. You remember me, right?
Yeah.
I'm about your age. I had hair transplants going back to the 80s.
Did I know your whole story? You were fucked up just like me. Go ahead.
That's it. That sums it up.
Yeah.
But however, tonight, your shows have been great. I mean, I've listened for years. This is the best it's ever been in the last month or so.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Thank you very much.
I mean, with the call, I mean, no offense to, I liked Joe from Staten Island, but it was becoming a kind of a cartoon show for a while. And I think you even sensed it and changed direction.
Tell me about it.
I mean, there are some real issues being talked about now. Callers are calling in. The guy the other night with the body dysmorphia. I mean, all the stuff. It's like, I'm sure the listenership's going to be growing, and people are going to be saying, it's not just me out there anymore.
Well,
it will when people start telling others about the show. Share the link, grab the link to the show, send it out to your friends.
Yeah,
put it on your social media. Say, hey, I just listened to these guys. You guys should too. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
help get the
but
word
you
out.
You guys know it's such a private thing. You know what I mean? It's hard to share. It's going to get
No, it is. You can't really do it on Facebook, but other social media where you don't have to use your actual name.
Well, what I want to do is, and I sent, you get a lot of emails here, but I sent a picture, and I want you guys to look at it. Now, this is not the typical rate my hair. This is like how I live my life, the best case scenario, and I want you guys to see it.
Joe, have you got that?
I don't. When did you send it?
I just sent it 1 second ago again.
Okay.
Kind of nervous.
You have no idea how good that Corona looks, dude. And not a good month to stop drinking.
It was tasty.
Yeah.
It's now empty. I got several more coming. I'm doing some grilling after this. Sorry, caller. What's your name?
Curtis.
Curtis. Okay, sorry.
But that's not the name on my email.
Right.
I just sent it 1 second ago.
Okay, it's going to take. I have that forwarded to another secret email address, so it takes it a while. But while we're waiting on that, just tell us more about your case.
The old secret email address.
Yeah. So what I want you to look at is, and this is the question I've always had. I have every issue you guys talk about on the phone. The callers have. Spencer, right away you just nailed it. You're fucked up just like me. Couldn't have said it.
How dare you?
You said it. I'm just playing the messenger, man. I'm just but it's been issues. I had the first plugs when I was 20, blah blah blah. So, and I've even seen like a therapist, and she goes, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's all in your. I have that body dysmorphic, and I still see the.
You saw a woman therapist about your hair loss.
Yeah, about this now.
Yeah,
that I can't. That I still have to deal with it. And she's like, I don't know what to tell you, and then I go, well, I don't believe you.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys. I'm going to tell you guys a very interesting secret. It's not really a secret. My therapist is a hair transplant patient.
And
I already knew this.
It's a pretty big deal.
Right.
So that's your cue. That's your cue, Curtis, to say, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it's totally understands.
patient and who's the therapist then?
Well, you know, it's actually very interesting that you say that, because when I first met him, he basically said, "I have to give you full disclosure," and the guy, they knew me. Guy knew me, but he's so good and just somebody that, you know, really.
Wait, could you tell? Could you tell he had one?
Actually, no. And I'm going to tell you this. You know, I'm not going to go that far, because then he somehow may be identified. Yeah. But he went to an incredible doctor. And
everybody's Googling psychiatrists and therapists in LA right now. Well, go ahead.
And I had to really take a look, and no, there's no way. I would have just thought that this was a guy with, you know, older dude, you know, slight recession in the hairline, wears his hair long, combs it back. I mean, a nice, pretty full-looking head of hair. I would not have known from a social distance at all.
Yeah. No, but this is a female, and, you know, like, it goes back to my childhood. You know, she said, you know, the whole body dysmorphic thing, but it's really because, like the caller the other night, it's been more of a fixation with hair. Because you want to hear a real effed up thing, I'll tell you, because I'm about to show you this picture, so maybe you'll go easy on me if I tell you really some messed up things.
I would like to hear some messed up things. I need that right now in my life.
When I was
good radio.
When I was like, well, here we go. So when I was like 13 or 14, all right, my dad was bald, like Norwood 6 or whatever, and, you know, my parents didn't get along. And my mom, I can remember I was maybe 10 or 11, I guess, and I had, like, you know, long, really nice hair. I mean, that was, like, Spencer, you talked about it, like, that was one of your strong points at one point. You know what I mean? It was like
fucking spun gold, my man. It was beautiful.
So my mom would be running her hands through my hair going, when your hair falls out like your dad, no one will love you, but I still will.
What?
Hold on for a second, dude. First of all, let me just tell you. Let me just say this.
I wish I was making that up.
I am so fucking sorry. That is the scariest and most abusive, sickest.
You know what that? See, you know what that planted in my head. No pun intended.
Yes,
right?
Of course that plant. Well, I'll tell you what my mother did, and it wasn't even close to being sick like that, and she didn't mean anything by it. She was combing my hair. She was getting me ready for school or whatever, like preschool. And she's combing my hair. I'm like, why do you keep fussing over me? She goes, I just want you to be perfect. Very matter of fact. That shit stuck in my head.
It gets into your head. That's what parents don't understand. That now, because you associate.
Now, I almost feel guilty comparing those stories, because what I have to be honest with you, what your mother did to you was pretty fucked up.
That was. I agree.
And she goes, don't worry, I'll buy you a wig.
And how old were you?
Are you seriously?
11,
she actually said that.
11.
11?
Is this woman still alive?
Yes.
And do you get along with her now?
I mean, you know how it is. You manage.
Did you ever tell her how that affected you?
No, because here's how that conversation would go. I tell her, and then she would feel attacked. I'm a terrible person and a mother. You know what I mean? She's the victim. You know, it's just
okay. So let her know you are a terrible person, and you were a terrible mother, and you affected my entire life. Now find somebody else to pay for your fucking funeral.
Pretty much. I was going to say exactly that. Yeah.
So what happened? Did that picture ever come up yet? I mean,
no. I'm hitting refresh. It's still not coming through.
I hate the camera angle. Like my camera it's like it's tilting over.
Hey, Joe, I sent it to you the other day too.
Oh, okay. Give me a hint.
What
was the subject line?
It says, "This is correct," because I sent you the wrong one first.
Oh, was that you? Okay. Oh,
yes.
yeah. I was looking. I was like, gee, because he hadn't sent me an email in like 8 months. And I was like, who the fuck is it?
I mean, I would love your mother to hear the show. I would love the fact that you're calling the fucking bald show. Really, because of that.
This is my best case scenario that you're about to see.
First of all, I want to say, in all seriousness, man, I'm really sorry that happened to you. I mean,
See, I'm setting this up, so you can't be too hard on me. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, no, I'm going to be hard on you anyway, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. I'm in therapy, and, well, for a lot of reasons, but see, that's come up in the therapy, and therapist she goes like, no shit, that messed you up.
Of course. Now, listen, let's face it, our parents messed us all up in some way. That's the one reason I never wanted to be a parent, is because I would sit in my house and think to myself, these people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I really thought that. I'm like, these are some fucked up people. I don't want to be like this. I actually felt I didn't belong there.
Yeah. I mean, that's why your show, the last month or two, it's just been, and I know there's got to be thousands of people out there feeling the same way. Like, it's not just me.
No, of course not.
I'm not. I mean, I may be crazy, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's not me. Just me.
Well, your particular situation it's obscene. You may have been the same. You may have been as affected or affected, but you may have been affected in a different way. Like,
how do you think I felt? So imagine I'm in my early 20s and my hair starts falling out.
Of course.
What's going through my mind?
You're like, no one's going to love me. My mommy told me no one's going to love me, but she'll buy me a wig. Did you ask her for the wig?
Even if that's not a conscious thought.
Did she ever make good on the wig, though?
No.
She couldn't even do that for you.
Okay, I think I'm looking at your photos here.
You can see kind of my room in the background. I just sent it to you.
Now you have children. Yeah. Did you have kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 boys.
4 boys.
Yeah.
Wow, you really went for it, man.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at the photo. Let me switch my system here. So, tell me, and forgive me for not remembering the details, but it's been several months since you sent me the emails. But what is it that like what's the situation? Like you had procedures with who?
Yeah. So what picture do you have right now?
The last one you said where correction. This is it.
Yeah. So I started having plugs, when I was in my early 20s. Then I had one repair maybe in the 90s, then another repair 10 years ago. And this is with hairspray and Topic.
Okay, which photo do you want me to show? The one you just sent?
Yes.
Or the last one you sent from the other day? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so...
Kind of got my rooms in the background.
Yeah. I don't know why I just rotated. There we go. Interesting. Let me download it first.
Okay.
Let's see, restore pages.
We'll just wait.
So,
take your time.
Yeah.
So, what I talked about, this is how I live. And like my therapist says, I would never, live your life and forget about it. You're fine.
There's so many people that say that and that feel that way. And you know what? There are people who are able to deal with it. You were set up for a big fall, so your situation is probably worse than a lot of people's. But there's also people who never had that type of setup, who this was hit. They were surprised by their hair loss, and that fucked them up because they didn't even expect it. Now, hold on.
I was like waiting for it. You know what I mean? It's like,
dude. First of all, looking at that picture, can you enlarge that, Joe?
Yeah.
And by the way, someone's got to. We have to start a GoFundMe page to get you some of these sheets. By the way, but anyway, let's see. Dude, I'm being complete. As far as the image is concerned, now I can see that you had some work done just because I can see the slight change in skin texture, but no one would be able to tell.
Nope.
No one in a million years. You look like a guy.
That's what my therapist says.
Yeah, you look like a guy with a full head of hair. I mean,
And
you're my
what you
age.
see is, that's all transplanted, what you see, except the sides.
Your hairline is actually significantly better than mine. So go fuck yourself.
Showing you my best case. You know what I mean?
Say that again?
I'm showing you the best case. But that is close up.
This is my best case. This is the best case.
So, I mean...
This is the youngest I'm ever going to be and the best I'm ever going to look. Go ahead.
So I can live with this, is what I'm saying. I can live.
Yeah, you should be able to live.
Yeah, if it takes me a half hour every day to do that, that's good and fine.
I have to say the fact that you have that option really, to me, is you're a lucky dude. You are a very lucky dude. You have that option. A lot of people don't have that option. They've had hair transplants early on. They had old plugs like you did early on. They were not able to repair them or to refine them. They are like your friend, Joe from Staten Island. Just their lives have been destroyed.
I mean, I can swim, and live. I can go in the pool and get wet and slick it back.
You fucking won, man. You
Did
won.
my video just die off again?
Your video did die, Joe.
Yeah, it's from the switch over.
But see, my question was, I was always thinking I still need to have more done, but maybe I don't.
If you're able to dummy it up like that, then no way. Do not touch your head.
Yeah, it takes like a half hour in the morning for that.
Half hour? What's a half an hour?
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You guys have saved my life. I'm not kidding.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
If it wasn't for this show, in particular, I would have felt like I would have had my therapist. But like I told my therapist, let me tell you, you talked about my boys. I had a proud moment because I have 4 boys, and of course I'm, without ever saying anything, monitoring, watching, right?
Right.
I never would do it. I'm never mentioned, God. So I have my second oldest, he's now 25, and he's starting to have a little receding. His hair's kind of like mine, and I've never mentioned it, but one of his friends the other day, his younger brother goes, "Oh, Jacob, look at your hairline." He goes, "Well, I'm a man. That's what a man's hairline looks like." I never had a prouder moment in my life.
That's great.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
That is great.
You know what a relief that was to hear him say that?
Yeah. I mean, going through what you've been through. Right?
And I didn't mess him up, and I didn't do that. And he was like, this is what men's hair look like. He was like, owning it.
Right. That's incredible. I actually had a high school buddy of mine contact me out of the blue, and I say that I've spoken to this guy maybe twice since I graduated from high school. And he went bald relatively early. By the time he was 30, he was a complete Norwood. And he was, calling me concerned about his 19-year-old son. Now, his son did mention it to him, but his son doesn't seem overly concerned by it. But he just wanted to get my opinion on what can be done. This particular guy is not panicking. He's not going to necessarily bring it up to his son unless his son brings it up again to him. He just wanted to be prepared to see what local doctor he should see and to give this kid an option to potentially do something before it continues to progress. And he was asking me some very, I think, reasonable questions about, how he should approach his kid. And my response was, since he's already approached you once, he's probably going to approach you again. And as soon as he mentions it again, then you could, turn him on to the program, say that, you spoke to me personally, and then kind of start the process. But you don't want to make the kid feel even more self-conscious than he already is. And
yes, that's why the last thing I'll ever do is say, Jacob, let me talk to you about something. If you're concerned, bring it up to him. Never.
It's like if you saw your kid, in the urinal, and you're like, "Holy shit! I didn't realize my kid's dick was so small." Would you say something about that if he didn't think about it?
Yeah, I said, Jacob, come here. No one's gonna love you, so let's do something about this.
Yeah. So we're gonna get you a penis enlargement because no one's gonna love you.
Yeah, he's got a smoking hot fiance, and she could care less. You know.
Listen. I think that's great, and I'm looking at your hair right now because that's the only image Joe can put on the screen.
Yeah.
And that's a close-up shot. If that was anybody's after shot, any physician's after shot, as a promotion, people would be running to have surgery with this guy.
I'd agree.
Well,
I'd agree.
see-
It's there's nothing wrong with it, man. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You should be happy with it.
That's the dysmorphic. I see just thinness right behind the hairline.
You are. I mean, it's a picture, and it may be slightly thinner in person, but even if it is, and I'm trying to picture that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking great, man.
That pretty much looks like that. But I'm like you. If you touched it, it's hairspray. You can see the hairspray in it, and some Topic, and
look, we both got to get over that. And I'm very open about it. I'm like, just don't touch my hair. If I talk about what I do, and there's a woman in the room, married, whatever it is, they always want to touch my hair. I'm like, look, it feels like a tumbleweed. Okay, that's it. Because I have hairspray on it.
Like people will say, "Oh, your hair is like they tell me my hair's like not people, but like they'll say, is your hair's like a Brillo pad?"
You know what? Tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, it was I'm not going to say who the person was, but that wasn't. I was like,
I once had a woman. I was in a New Year's Eve party.
It was a guy that said that.
Yeah, I had a woman at a New Year's Eve party. She was really loaded, and this is a woman who's very. She's a total alcoholic, and she happens to have a very demanding and important position here in Los Angeles, and it's kind of sad when I think about it. But she was telling common law, like, she was really drunk. She's like, you got to tell your husband to get a haircut. His hair is too long. He needs it. He looks so much better with shorter hair, and like, to me, as a hair loss sufferer and someone who's hiding his hair loss to some degree, I take it as my hair looks like shit, and this person is criticizing my hair, and that really, that's a really fucked up feeling. But I also realize that people are screwed up. I have people all the time that are like, when they find out what I do, they're like, "You're kidding me. Your hair looks amazing." Or, I've had people compliment my hair, strangers, young bartenders, for instance. They don't know who I am, what I do. But my hair, in person, it's much more gray. So it looks, when you have gray hair and you have as much as it appears that I have, it's almost an anomaly when you walk into, when you're around young people.
It does stand out because, and I don't know why, but there's something about the combination of the color, the volume.
Right.
It really does stand out, and I can see why people would be saying to Spencer, "Yeah, I mean, you got great hair." In my case, it's occasionally it's you going to do something for the back?
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's like fuck. I did.
Yeah, I did. This is the best it's going to get, motherfuckers. But the thing is, if you wanted to dummy it up like this dude, like Curtis, I mean, you have the perfect hair to dummy up.
No, I do.
Yes,
I do.
The hair I used to hate has now saved me.
Yeah. Yes. Well, dude,
dude,
we're going to call it a night, and I appreciate the call, and I'm glad that I got a chance to see this picture. I'm glad you sent it in, and God almighty, I'm so sorry to hear about that story. And I mean, I think I was going to say I understand more, but I mean, people like myself who didn't go through that dealt with hair loss in a way that a lot of other people wouldn't. So you were not dealt a great hand when it came to, when it was time for you to finally realize that you're losing your hair.
You say it really well, like being equipped to handle it.
Yes.
That's a great phrase I've taken from you. That did not help me to be equipped in any way to handle it.
No, it did not. Essentially, it's like saying, listen, you're really stupid, and no one's going to love you, but I'll love you anyway. I mean, telling that to a child.
It's like telling, if you had a daughter and said, you're so flat-chested, no man will ever like you, but we'll still love you.
Yeah, well, you're going to be. You're definitely going to be flat-chested, and no man's ever going to love you because of it.
She's going to be next time you see her. She's going to be on the pole with implants. I can promise you that.
Absolutely. Actually, sounds good. The pole sounds good right now. All right, Dave.
Yeah, but anyway, no surgery. I'm good, so I don't need anything else right now.
Dude, you look fucking fantastic. Live your life. You're an old man like me. You look young from the forehead up. You look young, and enjoy it. You're very lucky.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, Curtis.
Really good thing for people.
All right, you hang in there, man, and thank you for sending that picture because it puts things in perspective.
All right,
you look great.
I'll have my mom call you next week.
Yeah, that'd be great. You give me your mother's number, I will call her for you.
Yeah, you'll be running to your psychiatrist. Trust me.
Oh, dude, I will put that person. I was going to call her bitch, but she's your mother on the air, and I will read her the riot act.
Yeah. I can just tell you that after a half hour, you'll be needing therapy. That's all I can tell you.
She's not my mother. You have no clue, dude. I will tear her apart. I will dismantle her piece by piece.
So that's a bad story, right? I mean, that was a shockingly bad story.
That is one of the saddest things that I've ever heard. I mean, I would have felt better for you if you said that you were being burnt by cigarettes.
Yeah. But she thought she was being loving. I mean, that's what's weird. It's like, don't worry, I'll still love you when you're hideous.
Yeah, you will be hideous, but you're always going to have me.
I'd rather be unloved with the hair if that was an option.
Your mother could have hit you with a belt for 10 years, and I would have said you would have been better off.
Like me.
Like me, yeah, exactly. All right, Curtis. And you know what? Don't let me saying that bring you down anymore. I mean, it is what it is.
So are you kidding? Wait. Are you? Believe me. Let me just real quick, and then I'll let you go. So we were out, and I had my boys with me, and my mom started on her, talking about when I was young, how bad I was, and this and that. And I stopped her really quick, and this worked perfectly. So if anyone has this issue, so she's telling my boys, your father was this and that, and his behavior. I said, Mom, that sounds like a parenting issue because my kids aren't like that. That's more of a parenting issue you must be discussing.
Good for you.
And that shut her up.
Good for you. How old is your mother?
78.
Go in, when she's sleeping, shave her head.
And tell her it's senile alopecia.
Yeah, just say, oh, you know what? Yeah. You're bald, but I still love you, Mom.
Yeah, but no, you guys, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
All right, you got it, Curtis. Thank you.
No worries.
And
Thanks
I'll be
for calling.
talking to you soon.
All right.
All right.
You take care of yourself.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, sadly, we can no longer see Joe Tillman, but let me give out his website. It's the hairtransplantmentor.com. Check out Joe's journey. You'll actually be able to see him on the website as opposed to the program tonight.
I'll tell you what happened. This whole Skype issue was going on, and then eventually my battery did die. So I tried to switch out the battery. I put it in backwards. Now the damn thing is stuck.
Oh, Jesus. Tonight has been a logistical and a technological nightmare.
Clusterfuck.
Yeah. Anyway, look, shit happens. It's live radio or live internet broadcasting. Guys, do me a favor. Like the show on Joe's page. I just went to the page and I see that it has 16 likes, and we've averaged well over 36 people in a room at a time.
40.
So yeah. just fucking like his show. Like the show. It's not that hard. God almighty. Curtis is right. I mean, he's like, no one wants to talk about it. They loved watching. They want the information. We're so fucking helpful. Help us out.
We're so helpful, but no one wants to help us out.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
That's the way it's always been. That's what I was giving Dr. Charles. I was telling him. I'm not saying it's him. I'm saying, all of his colleagues. It's like everyone's complaining, oh, my God, all these guys are infiltrating the industry. We're losing our shirts. People are being harmed. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Let's have another meeting. Let's go to dinner. Let's pay money to be on a website with a bunch of other people who don't know what the fuck they're doing and put ourselves in that category. Let's see if that works.
It's the same thing all over again. And again. And again.
And
again.
Maybe if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't be where I am. I don't know.
Good point.
You know. All right, guys. Hairtransplantmentor.com. Thebaldtruth.com for archives of this broadcast and clips. We also have another YouTube channel, which none of you guys seem to like because somebody's not putting stuff up there, but we're going to change that. That is, what's the name of the channel?
That would be Hair Transplant Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. Go over there, subscribe, like stuff, do what has to be done, but subscribe and ring that bell so that you see clips. We're going to be doing a lot of undercover doc stuff. We're going to be uploading them very shortly. I have a tremendous number of clips for both Undercover Tech and Undercover Doc, and
You can also
compelling shit.
also find it on the featured channel of this channel of my Hair Transplant Mentor channel. Hair Transplant Podcast is the featured channel you'll see on the homepage.
And yeah, thank you for that, Joe. And let's see, baldtruthtalk.com is the message forum for this broadcast, for the Bald Truth, for the IHRS. Remember, it's a message forum, guys. I really appreciate all the traffic that we get. I appreciate you guys spending time on there. But take anything you read on any message forum, excuse me, with a grain of salt. I also suggest that if you are going on message forums, especially if there's moderators out there who are controlling the flow of information, really be careful about any of that shit. Be careful about what is being said or written on a message forum if you're choosing to use that forum to make a decision to have surgery. That was a long, roundabout way to get my point across.
It worked, though.
But it's reality. There are people out there on all the message forums. I would say except for ours, because you're not going to see a moderator trying to control the flow of information. We're not going to let people say, hey, go to so-and-so. He's the best if someone's talking about another doctor. Doesn't happen. If there's a complaint, it's a real complaint. It's a verified complaint. Anyway, I can go on forever. The American Hair Loss Association, AmericanHairLoss.org. I want to thank HairLossExperiences.com for embedding this broadcast on their message forum. Hair Loss Experiences is a UK-based message forum, basically a hair transplant message forum. Great guy runs it. He really gets what we do, and he supports the truth. He's not concerned about competition. He's not concerned about someone seeing me discuss Bald Truth Talk on his forum. He's not stupid enough to think these other guys don't know that my forum exists.
That's what's funny about that. That's a great line. It's like, oh, we can't let other people know that Bald Truth Talk exists. It actually happens out there, and it's amazing.
The whole thing is fucking amazing. The whole industry is fucking amazing. Again, like I said, I was interviewed today, and I really felt like, God, I've been doing this for so long. And again, this woman was wonderful, and she was asking me the right questions, but she was very enamored, I think, by the fact that, I founded the American Hair Loss Association. I've been around so long. She's a younger person, and that I was giving her the time to do the interview. And I'm like, what else do I have to do? I'm a 53-year-old man. I'm in my underwear. You don't even know it. But honestly, I just felt like this old wrestler, like the Knights of Columbus. Like I got a fanny pack, and I'm taking Polaroids with people. And I was this famous, super famous dude. And now these millennials are like, what was it like back in the day? Kind of depressing. Anyway. Joe, nice not seeing you.
For a change.
Yeah. And I guess that's it. I gave out all the websites. IHRS.org, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. If you're considering surgical hair restoration, remember the doctors who are accepted into the IHRS are not only accepted because they are doing the most consistent work in the field and they are actually real hair transplant surgeons, but they support our message of truth in advertising that surgery is a last resort. You're going to find guys like Dr. Glenn Charles on that website. And if you just listen to Dr. Charles's sincerity, you realize that, and you know, the caller that called in about, I think it was Nico, about or someone about, you know, what someone wrote about Dr. Bernstein online.
That was Nico, yeah.
Yeah. These guys are turning away patients all the time. So if you're going,
and they're busy as hell.
And they're busy as hell.
Because it works for them.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and again, thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, you know, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And you know, the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had a much